Dear brothers and sisters, as we gather together in all different parts of the world, we are in the beginning of the month of December. And December traditionally has been a month of giving. It's a month of sharing. It's a month of caring. In many traditions, this is the time where people extend a helping hand to many, many others. Some that they know, like their children, they buy toys for them and all other gadgets that they think the children will need. And many help others, people who might have difficulty putting food on the table, people who might have difficulty buying clothing, or just those who need some help. And as we think about help, we do understand with time as we grow that it is in giving that we receive. When we give of ourselves, then what we receive is the blessings of God. And so, traditionally, the month of December is associated with giving. People try to help in many, many different ways, because there are times in the lives of many others who have difficulty in dealing with the ups and downs of life. And so there's a very interesting incident I like to relate. This is an incident which happened after the Second World War. A soldier was coming home, and as he's going through the town, he's in a jeep. He sees at the corner there's a young boy standing in front of a bakery shop. He sees the young boy is looking through the window and is looking at the pastries and the cakes and the bagels and the breads and all other goodies which are in that bakery shop. The soldier, as he looks at the young boy, sees that the clothing of the boy are not very good. And so he takes his jeep, he stops it in front of the bakery. He gets out of the car and goes to talk to the young boy. And as he gets to talk to him, he realizes the young boy is an orphan. And the soldier then asks the young boy, "Would you like one of these pastries?" And the young boy says, "Oh, I would love one." And so the soldier goes into the bakery. He buys a dozen pastries and some bread and some bagels and some other goodies which are in the store. And he comes out and he gives the box full of all these goodies to the young boy. And then he's starting to leave, and as he's going towards his jeep, and he looks back, and there's the young boy tugging his coat. And the young boy made a very interesting statement. And he says, "Sir, are you God?" The young boy, who was maybe praying to be able to get one piece from the bakery, got many, many pieces. And to him, the soldier was an extension of God. And this is what happens when we help someone. When someone is going through a difficult period, then they pray. Prayers are very, very important. And when God listens to those prayers, then God, through others, provides help to them. And so we as human beings become extensions of God. So when it's our hands that are helping someone else, then in reality it's God's hands going out there. If there's a calamity and we walk there to help someone, then it's the feet of God which go there. When we open our heart up to someone else, then their prayers maybe have been answered, and it's the heart of God which opens up to them. And so, not only during this month of December, but all year round, we should lead our life in a manner in which we realize that through us, through the gifts that God has given us, whether they be physical, whether they be mental, whether they be emotional, whether they be spiritual, that we should extend a helping hand wherever we can. And what is very interesting is, most people think of themselves as the human body. But as we gain more knowledge about ourselves, we realize we're not the physical body, but we are the soul which gives life to this body. And that soul is a part of God, and that soul is connected with God, and that soul has the love and light of God associated with it. And those characteristics are the ones that need to come out in our life. And as we lead a life of giving, we will find fulfillment come to each and every one of us. As we pass through life, there are many ups and downs of life that we have to deal with. There are many times when difficulties come into our life, either in our own life or in the life of those that we are close to, whether they are family members or our friends or people who live in our neighborhood or people who live in our state or our country. And when difficulties come in, many times we wonder, and this question comes up, like, why is God not fixing all the problems? Because God can fix anything. And so we wonder, why are there difficulties in life? Why are there problems in life? We need to realize that when God created human beings, we were not created as puppets. We were given free will. We were given a choice. We were given a choice to be able to decide for ourselves what is the right way of leading our lives. And it's that part of the free will that needs to be put into practice by us in a manner in which we are always looking at the good of all of us. A kind of life that we should be leading as we understand the teachings of the great saints and mystics is one in which we should always ask this question. Whatever we are trying to do, is it only good for me or is it good for the community? And when the answer is that whatever we do is good for the community, that's what we should be doing. So in this month of December, let's not be on the receiving end. Let's be on the giving end. So we give and we give and we give. Because it's in giving that we receive, it's in giving that we get fulfillment, it's in giving that we are happy, it's in giving that we are joyous. A great example is from the lives of the great saints and mystics. If we find that when we look at the lives of the great saints and mystics, there are examples after examples of how they were always in the mode of giving. When we look at the life of Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, when he was young, he used to do seva in the mission. And in the East, when people come for satsang, they take their shoes off. So those shoes need to be taken care of. And so there's like a shoe department which takes care of the shoes. And you take the shoes of the person, you give them a ticket with a number, and you keep the shoes so that when they come back after the satsang, they can be given the shoes back. Now, these are times when, there were not that much concrete on the roads, and roads were dusty, and so by the time people came, their shoes would be, quite dirty with dust and mud. And so not only was Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj taking care of the shoes, but he would clean them up too. And make sure that when the person came back, they got shoes which were clean. And when we look at someone saintly as Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj was, and he would clean the shoes of everyone, anyone who came there, then was asked to think about what kind of a life we should be leading to. Many of us are only looking for returns which are short-lived. And so when things are going our way, then we're very happy. But as soon as things seem to be going in a direction contrary to what we expect, we just feel, oh, God is not taking care of us. God is very busy doing other things. Many times we also feel there are so many billions of people living in the world, so many other billions and billions of animals who are living. And so, God is taking care of everything. God doesn't have the time for us. But we forget that God takes care of each and every one of us. And many incidents happen in our life. You might say it's a coincidence, or you might say it's an act of God. Something happened in my life many years ago. As a young man, and this is before I was married, I was in Chicago. And many people who maybe live in the Chicago area know that there used to be an S-curve on Lakeshore Drive. So the road would come like this, and it'll go like that, and it'll go like this. So this is called the S-curve. And it was a very tricky area to go through, and got very narrow in that S-curve. So I was driving from the north side. I used to live on the north side, and I was driving towards the south side. And so as I'm going south on the S-curve, I come on this road, and as I take the S-curve here, I ran out of gas. The car stopped. The car stopped, I got out, I wanted to check what happened, and realized that I ran out of gas. I was hoping, as the needle was going down, that I'll make it to gas station after I cross the S-curve and get to the city. Now here, right on this curve, which is going like this, I'm stuck right here. Okay. And these were the days where there were no mobile phones, no cell phones, no connection with anyone if you get stuck someplace. So as I got out of the car, in a few moments, a car came and stopped behind my car. And out from the car comes Fred Dornenberg. Those of you who've lived in the Chicago area maybe know about Olga Dornenberg. She was the representative from the times of Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj and Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj in the Midwest. And Fred Dornenberg was her husband. And Olga was in the car, and Fred came out, and he looked at me and said, "Raji, what are you doing here?" Because Raji is the name that people used to call me by when I was very young. And so I said, "Fred, I don't know what happened. I ran out of gas. I hoped that I would get to a gas station, but somehow I ran out of gas." So in those days where there's no cell phone, there's no way of calling anyone, you're standing there in a few moments. To me, it's an act of God. Help came. Someone that I knew stopped to help me. And you can imagine in a big city like Chicago, which has millions and millions of people, that someone that you know would be passing on the same way at the same time, a few moments later, and would be there to help. Because Fred took me to a gas station, he bought a can and got gas and came back, and he was on his way and I was on my way. And so God is always there to help us. And the extended help of God is always there. It is we who in our lives don't understand when these gifts come to us. It is we who think of these as coincidences. It is we who think that maybe we are left alone. But in God's eyes, we are all one and the same. There's no high and there's no low. Based on our own free will, we've made choices. And based on those choices, our life sometimes seems to be going according to what we wish, and sometimes seems to be going contrary to what we wish. And so when life is going according to what we wish, we're very happy. We say, oh, everything is good, everything is working well. And those are the times when we think, oh, things are just working well. And those are the times we never think about God. And then when things are not going well, and we try to fix things and we can't, and then we say, oh, why did this happen to me? And, I did my best and still things did not work out. Oh, God is not caring about me. We should realize that each and every one of us is a child of God. We're all members of the same family of God. And so God, when God wants to help someone, helps them through all of us. We become extensions of God. And this is where the principle of giving comes in. Sant Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, give, give and give. Give of ourselves so that the difficulties of someone else would be unburdened. Give of ourselves so that whether it's a financial state, whether it's an emotional state, whether it's a mental state, whether it's a spiritual state of another person, will get better. We all can help as we live by the principle of sharing, of caring. One shares only when one cares about someone. And to be able to care about someone, we need to get to a state where we realize that we are a part of them, they are a part of us. And that realization only sets in when we experience that by ourselves. And to experience that we are all connected, we are all a part of each other, we are all members of the same family of God, we meditate. We meditate so that we can find our connection with God. We meditate so our soul can experience the oneness with the Creator. We meditate so we can be in a state in which we find that God is not far away from us, God is within each and every one of us. And the process of meditation is such that we are able to take our attention away from the world outside and focus it within ourselves. The realities of our existence are within ourselves. Each and every one of us has a part of God which is giving us life. And that part of God can be realized by us. And that's what is meant by self-realization. That we realize who we are, that we realize we're not the body, we're not the mind, we're not the brains. That we are soul. We are that energy, that power, which is a part of God, that is giving life to this human body, and that this existence is going to stay for a limited amount of time. And this is the opportunity that God has given to each and every one of us in the human body to be able to have that experience, to have that realization. And as we realize that we are soul, then through meditation the flights of the soul come into play, the experiences of the soul come into play. And as we learn the techniques to meditate, as we learn the techniques to experience the two primal manifestations of God, that being the divine light and the divine sound, then we are uplifted into a region of light, into a region of joy, into a region of peace, into a region of bliss. And when we realize the presence of God in our life, then the realization also sets in that the same presence of God is in all other living forms. It is then that we start to extend a helping hand. How many times do we hear about people? Let's say there's a car accident and the car is in fire, is there, and there's smoke coming up, but someone runs out and pulls a person out of the car and saves their life. How many times do we hear about people donating their kidney to someone else so that their life could be lived nicely? So we do this because we want to help. Because we realize that if we extend our hand to someone else, that their life would get better, and it's God's way of extending help to everyone else. The key is to realize that we're all connected. And as we have the realization, we'll find that life is lived in a manner in which it truly should be lived. So let us just meditate for a few minutes, because it's only when we meditate that we experience the divine light and sound within ourselves. It's only when we realize that we're connected with these true primal manifestations of God that we realize that we are experiencing God. It's only when we realize we're experiencing God that we realize that we all can experience God. And it's then that we realize that we're all one and the same. So it all starts from meditation. So let's just sit still, close our eyes very gently, just like we close them when you go to sleep. Our eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of us. And as we close our eyes, those of us who are initiating the mysteries of the beyond, please do our Simran. And those of us who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. The repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. As you repeat God's name, you'll find flashes of light, circles of light, lights of various colors just explode in front of you. Please keep your gaze in the middle and enjoy this peaceful and this loving experience which God is giving to each and every one of you. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. We'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditation at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. प्लीज लीव ऑफ, छोड़ दीजिए जी.